Hey ladies, it's your girl Vashti, and you're listening to Extraordinary Women. Are you feeling lost, confused, perhaps even unsure about yourself and your purpose? Well, don't worry, sis. I got you covered with some of the life stories and advice from some amazing women. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be empowered. You're listening to Extraordinary Women. All right, ladies, welcome back to a third season now of Extraordinary Women. I am so excited for you guys today. I have someone really special that you guys are really going to enjoy. Her name is Christina Garrett, and she is something that we could all use in life. An organization life coach, because how many of us, really need to organize our lives a little bit? Christina, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing great, Vashti. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. We've already chit chatted a little bit before this and, even prior to this call. So tell
Mhm.
me a little bit more about yourself for those who don't know you, those who are not familiar with you. Where are you from? How does organization life coaching work? And how did you fall into this career, especially coaching, young women?
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I am Christina Garrett. I'm a productivity and organization coach for ambitious women leaders who want to get more done by strategically doing less. And so, my passion and mission is helping you to take all of these things that are on your plate and refine your schedule, calm the chaos, and implement a strategy that works for you and for your family. I'm a pastor's wife and I'm a homeschooling mom of five awesome but very loud children who hopefully the toddler doesn't come in, but if he does, y'all will just see him because that's what happens every now and then. But I have five kids, and so they really give me organization and action. They are the catalyst for me in a lot of ways. They help to even ground me and make sure that I'm operating in the things that I need to do. A lot of times when people hear organization coach, they automatically start thinking about like pantries and Tupperware and, perfect laundry spaces and all these things. But my mission is to help women amplify their productivity and make sure they're spending their time on the things that matter. And a lot of times we are busy doing the pantries and the Tupperware and the refrigerators and mopping and all these things that are important, so to speak, but in the grand scheme of things, very trivial. And then we end up tired and frustrated. Sometimes we end up anxious, resentful to the people that we love because they don't care that you mop the floor. So it is a vicious cycle of women doing the most, expecting the most from their family members, but we don't always know how to communicate it. The Momathon mission started when my twins were okay. I got five kids. My oldest son was two when my twins were born. So that's why, we were talking earlier. I was like, listen, it can happen to the best of us where I thought I had a handle on it and then something
Yep.
happened or two things happen, maybe three, where, you're trying to get your bearings again and get back on top of things and the person that you used to be. So the Lord kind of pushed me or brought to mind that I was going to start something to help encourage young women. Now I'm 25, okay? I'm a young mom still myself. And so I really didn't I said, God, you got the wrong person because I can't coach myself. You
Mm.
hear me? I can't make myself do all the things that I needed to do.
But he
But
used you.
turns out I'm not the only person in the world who, gets challenged with staying on top of life, loving their significant other well, trying to, build a family and an empire. And you just don't want to lose track of your time or be overwhelmed and burned out. And
Right.
so over time, as I grew in my motherhood journey, more young moms, more young wives, women started coming to me and saying, Christina, how are you doing all the things, but your husband's still smiling? He's supportive. You keep your kids with you all the time. Like, how do you do the things you do? And so I've had to put it into a system and program and work with clients now over the last several years to help them refine their schedules and become more productive.
So, what would you say is, the most rewarding part of what you do? especially when you're working with your clients, like as you just put it, you do a lot. I mean, women, we take on a lot of responsibilities, from being wives to being mothers, especially if you're a mother of more than two children, which you say you're a mama of five and you got twins. I mean, you know, so I mean, what would you say is the most rewarding part of what you do? And how does that make you feel? Like how does that empower you? As far as when you see that you're helping someone, or when you're helping yourself, how does that empower you?
Well, I have certain things that clients may tell me that
Hmm.
make me feel know I'm in the right place.
Hmm.
So there will be days where a wife is, her husband says, yes, you can hire a coach because I see how you acting. He's like, you do need some help. Like some husbands pay for their wives' conference tickets because they're like, you do need to go take a break.
Hmm.
You do need to get some support and some focus. And the wife is like, I don't know if I'm offended or if I should pack now. I'm like, no, you pack and leave him with the kids. So that being said, usually wives, women, period, because I don't just work with women who are married, or don't just work with, just single moms, married moms, it doesn't matter. But I have found across the board, the women feel it, but the people in their lives really feel it.
Mm.
So we will have a husband come back and say, that was the best money we've ever spent.
Mm.
Because I'm like, listen, we're going to have day one boot camp. You're going to do this, 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 and this. And then you're going to put it on your husband so good, he can't even see straight. Like he's going to be like walking to work like, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? That kind of night, right? We're all grown. So, you are changing the entire atmosphere of your home intentionally. And it will be the spouse a lot of times that comes back and says, oh, you can go to that conference anytime. You need to keep her in our life on a routine, but it's the family that says, my mom is different now. She now sits down and watches a movie with us instead of working through dinner. Now she's not trying to move us out of the way all the time. She's learning how to slow down. And so productivity coaching isn't about, oh, I just want to do more, do more, do more. It's actually about doing less and
Mm.
embracing the season that you're in and remembering that it doesn't last forever. This is a season.
It's interesting that you put it that way, where you say, even the people surrounding the woman can feel the difference. Like they can feel the, I guess, the pressure of everything that's on her mind, that's on her list, and that's on her plate to do. And when you come in and you start putting all of that in order for them, helping her kind of, get herself together. And when you say that they feel that difference, that sounds even more rewarding to me, because you're not only helping her, but you're helping literally a whole family. You're making an impact in an entire household.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that. We forget that, even though, yes, women, we feel more of the pressure. you
Yeah,
know we
we
feel
do.
like we do it all, and we just never catch a break. We forget that our kids, our family members, the people that we live under the same roof as, they feel that same pressure. I can't tell you how many times my husband I can't tell you how many times my husband has said, I can tell you're a little bit stressed out right now. Why don't you just sit down and just watch
That's
TV?
code for what is your problem?
I mean, I mean, literally, before we moved to Texas, and we were in the process of moving, so packing a bunch of boxes and organizing things. I'm a planner. I love to
Yes,
plan. I need to have
yes.
a plan for everything, especially being in the military and PCSing. I need to have a list of things that we need to do and get done. And there was
Mm-hmm.
one day where we were just packing for 2 weeks straight. There was
Mm-hmm.
one day where I started moving around, cleaning the dishes, packing stuff up. He's sitting down. He's sitting down. He's watching TV. He's watching a movie, and he's getting so irritated with me because he's like, I feel like I should be doing something, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I just want to. He's like, can you just sit down and just
Come
sit?
here. Yeah.
You just sit with me, please. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I'll sit down. But it's so funny. We don't think about that. We don't think
You know
about.
what? It was something that you said a few minutes ago about women. We take on so many pressures and responsibilities. When you think about taking something, what did you do? You stuck your hand out and you let somebody put something in your hand and you brought it back to you. I took this from you, right? Took the phone, took the chart, what I took it from you. So here we go, looking at dishes and things to do around the house and dinner and all of this stuff. We are taking it from the significant other or the people in our lives. We're pulling it to us. So my husband hit me with the same thing the other night,
Yep.
right? Everybody in the house, it's Sunday night, they're sitting down chilling, right? He's
Yeah.
like, I don't understand why you can't just come sit. I said, well, are we gonna order dinner? Are we gonna order dinner? Like, if I come and sit down, that means I'm not in here cooking, which
Yep.
I'm fine with.
Yep.
But is that an exchange that we're gonna make? So every day we have to consider, what are the exchanges? If I'm taking something, that means that I'm removing it from somebody else's list of responsibilities. And especially, you're expecting, right, at the time of this recording, depending on when everybody listens to it, but there will be, these numerous things. The to-do list is only going to grow. So what we have to do is say, all right, what are the things that only I can do? And then what are the things that I can give away to somebody else to do? A lot of the cleaning, a lot of food stuff. A lot of times for me, takeout is the way to go. I don't want to, after I've done what we're doing all day with coaching with clients, interviews, we're working on a conference, I want to bring wings.
Right.
That's my exchange, right? That's
Right.
so, when we think about women taking on responsibilities, a lot of times we literally are doing exactly that. And when our family members and our loved ones want to help, a lot of times they don't mind stepping in to do certain things, but we continually insist on taking it because I'm a control freak and I want it to be the way I want it. And I don't know how to release that to other people to step in and support me. And that's the root of the thing. You're a control freak. You don't want nobody else to put the cups in a different cabinet. So you do it all
right there.
time.
I was just about to ask you too. I was just about to say, why do you think we take on this extra work? Why do you think we grab onto different projects or multiple responsibilities? Does it come from a certain upbringing? We saw our mom do it, or they saw their mother do it, or do you think it has just also become like definitely a societal thing? There was a time where women we did do everything in the house. We didn't go to work.
Right.
We just stayed home. We took care of the kids. Our full-time job
Was family.
was family, raising the family, and even raising our husbands just a little bit, taking care of the house, cooking dinner, cleaning. That was our full-time job. And so then we transitioned into this era of women's suffrage where we wanted to work. So now you have this societal change in the 1920s all the way up to now, today's society, and we are now working. So some of us are working, and we are full-time moms, and we're wives, and we're entrepreneurs. Why do you think we take on these extra projects? And also, do you think that we're also kind of getting back to traditional times? I think, for the way I see a little bit, I feel like we're kind of getting back to a little bit more traditional times too.
Okay, so you said some good stuff. Okay, so first, one of the things my husband says very often, he's like, Black women been working. Black women been working. So when we think about women's suffrage, was it really for us?
Yeah.
Black women? Was it real? Who was out there burning bras and trying to get equality?
Yeah.
It was not the Black woman, because in the Black home, right, The Black man worked, the Black woman worked and supported the family initiative, and there was so much more teamwork. Now, one thing that irks me across, it's like a social media thing where we hit the I am not my ancestors, grandma took it from Grandpa Earl. So, but now I know better, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How much do we deplete our history and the strong and brilliant women that came before us to say that she could not handle, she was that depleted, she was that burned down, that she took any old thing from grandpa. But aren't these the same ancestors that y'all out here burning candles to and all those other kinds? These are the same ancestors. So can we pick a side? Can we pick a side? Can we find a balance here where we say, you know what, for me and for my house, maybe I can do a lot and maybe I can rest, So going back to your question, I don't know if we're going back to traditional times. I think that women want their cake and we want to eat it too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that we want to find flexibility again in our own schedules, and we like having options. If anybody out there watches Kevin Samuels, right? These women are out here saying, I want a that quote unquote high value man, which is 150,000 plus up to 7 figures, right? But I also want to work. And then he says, but he doesn't need you to work. He needs you to help manage the home and the family, but we don't always want to do that. Right. So I think that women in this present environment, some of us can get really caught up in hustle culture, where we get so excited about the idea of securing the bag and doing all these things that we forget the men in our lives, they want us. Right. They don't want us to be the minimized version of ourselves by any means. And they may need time to get adjusted to the woman that you're becoming, right? So Vashti's podcast takes off times 1,000. She's on the Oprah Winfrey Network. She's on Fox. She's all these places that she's manifesting on her vision board, all these things. Yeah. It may take your husband a second to say, hey, when I met her, she was this woman, but now she's becoming this different person. And that's when we talk about evolutions and seasons and embracing changes. So I think that we as women now, we want to have options. I want to have my own money. I want to have my own business. I want to kill it my own way. But I also want the option to keep my kids at home if I want to. Right. I also want to move into a big house while I do that. So learning to define what success looks like for your family. And then one of my favorite business strategists, Marquel Russell, he talks about having your freedom number. So knowing what number that is for your family so that you can have the life that you desire and find the balance as it comes to family as well.
A little bit. But why call it Momathon Diaries? And why the specific focus on, helping all the moms out there?
Well, I've had clients in the past who were not mothers. And for me, it was challenging because we're talking about time management, priority management, and not to say that they don't have a lot to juggle, but having a family changes the game. It just does, And so I like to honor it as you're running your journey. So I think the name came to me while I was out running. And I've done several 5Ks, a couple 10Ks, a couple half marathons. One day I'm going to do the Ironman. I said I was going to do that 35. 35 has passed. So we might say 38. So that being said, but wanting to run the race well. Right. All of us, like we're talking about seasons a lot, and to know that this may be my particular time for something. And for a lot of us, it may be time to carry a little one, going through that postpartum journey, which can last up to 12 months, 18 months. I had toddlers and I think I still had postpartum. Yeah. Climbing over that, dealing with your body changes, your hormonal changes, all these things. It's all about running the race well. And so I started off just documenting my journey as a young mom with 3 children. I had a toddler son and then a set of twin babies or twin toddlers. And I was not okay. Yeah. I was not okay. Just wasn't. I wasn't. You can smile. You can do whatever you want. You can say, oh, yeah, they're cute. I was not okay. I would be in Walmart, y'all. If y'all can just envision. I had a baby in the carrier, a baby in the physical car seat in one of the baskets, my toddler in the other section, and I was pulling a basket full of groceries, sweating. You hear me? People will walk past me and say, "You look like you have your hands full. If you're not gonna push one of these baskets, don't talk to me. Don't don't say anything to me. Don't look in my direction. Just mind your business." But I was not okay. I was tired. There were days when my husband would come home from work. He at the time worked out that far from the house. He would come home for lunch, and I would just be sitting in the hallway crying.
Yep.
Just sitting in the hallway crying. He said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'll be fine." Baby's crying. I'm crying. Everybody crying. And so it's okay to own that that's part of the journey. And then it's also okay to realize it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to just go down the toilet, right? Your feelings, your emotions, your body, all of you, is washing away. You feel like you lost control. Pregnancy has a way of teaching us that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Midnight.
So I'm learning.
You're learning. It's like I don't even have control. I feel like crying. Why? I can't wear pants to church because then my pants fit and I want to cry about it.
Yeah.
And it's just as serious. So the same things can happen after you've had a little one and you feel like your life is out of control and you don't have a handle on things anymore the way that you used to. And so, yes, the same can be true for women who are not mothers or don't have families. But I believe that when you put having a family in it, it changes everything. And so you're trying to please a spouse or a partner. You're trying to love your children well, not drop the ball on that. You want to have a six pack. You want to be cute. You want to grow a business and have your own thing going on. You want to have a house that's decent most of the time. But how in the world do we do all of these things without completely depleting? And they tell you take spouse vacations and do all these things. You're like, when? Nobody signed up to take my twins.
Right.
Nobody. They wanted the older, more well-behaved child. Nobody signed up for the twins.
Right.
So, it's a diary because it records the life and happenings of regular women, and just really telling our stories that it's okay to love being a wife, love being a mom, love being a family woman, but that's not all I am. That's not the only thing that I am. And that's okay for me to chase some other things at the same time.
Do you ever find yourself kind of slipping and, having a hard time balancing your life as well? And do you also do you forget to take your own advice? I mean, I know, shoot, I forget to take my own advice. Like, I mean, I will wake up in the morning. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll post something on social media. Take it one day at a time. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe.
You like,
and here it is.
May next year.
And here it is. I'm on the other side of the phone, super irritated about what my husband said, or super irritated that something didn't get done last night.
Yes.
Do you ever forget to just take a moment to yourself as well and use your own encouragement to empower yourself? And how do you all that energy, all of that work that you put out to others, how do you keep just enough for yourself so that way you can empower yourself?
I love that. That's such a good question. That is so good. Okay, so I try to be, all right, prior to the Christina that's here now on camera, okay, prior to the me that's here in fall 2021, there would be days where I think God pokes us, right? He shows us that you need to slow down, or he shows us that, you haven't been paying attention like you were paying attention, or things have fallen to sham. Like, what is going on? Everything seems out of control right now. What's happening? And so in the days leading up to this present me, I had to develop a lot of self-awareness. So what is my body telling me right now? Is my neck getting tight? Like, why is my neck getting tight? I don't even understand. I don't think I'm stressed, but my body says you are. Is everything in my house chaotic and my kids are sitting on their behinds doing nothing? Hold up.
Yeah.
When was the last time me and my husband had sex?
Yep.
Okay, if you married, I don't know about y'all not married. We married and you looking at the calendar, it's been too long. Okay.
We doing this tonight or not?
Tonight, listen, it's going there. So there is you're funny. So there's certain subconscious awareness things that I use to keep a marker on Christina. All right. So I may say the month of conference time. Listen, I love y'all. We're gonna do our schoolwork. We're gonna try to keep the house somewhat together. Mama's gonna try and maintain her best self. But then simultaneously, I also have this event to put on. So things are more hectic than usual. So I'm doing more interviews and things like that. I think you have to, as a woman who's building something, okay, you got to compartmentalize certain things. So if I'm doing an interview, if I'm hosting an interview, like somebody's coming on my platform to do something, if I'm working with clients, 97% of the time, these things are happening in the afternoons, right? So I'm working with my kids and getting my workout in, walking my nut job dog, right? All these things are happening between the hours of 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Right.
And then I have the afternoons for my kids to go veg out and do what they want to do. They're tidying up, which they did when I was on my way back here. They were cleaning, but to compartmentalize some things. So you always have to ask yourself, am I letting this take over my whole day? Am I doing conference stuff all day? Did you teach your children today? Doing those inner checks to make sure that you're not dropping the ball on certain things. And so yes, I have absolutely had those days where I've had to take my own advice and say, okay, it's 8:30, sis, and you've been working on this for hours. Put it up. Nobody wants to get an email from you at 10 o'clock at night talking about, did you get your conference ticket? They don't do it tomorrow morning. Get up at 6:30 and do it again then. And so I daily, every single day, I have to put on a constraint on myself, because we all can get carried away where you go in and you're podcast editing or you're blogging or you're doing this and that, and you look up and it's been 5 hours.
Yep.
And then your husband comes in and he's like, you still working? And you turn around like, how dare you say, am I still working? This is my dream.
That's what I do.
This is my dream. And he's like, but so am I.
Yeah.
So now it's 8:30. It's time to put it up. Right? Put it away and then go move on to spending time with your significant other, or hanging out, or it's dinner time. I'm gonna cook with my kids, or whatever those things are, and just laugh and slow down. I have to remind myself every day to slow down. Every day.
It's interesting that you say that, slow down. That's really resonated with me right now, because and we just talked about this, before, going on the air and everything. And I even openly talked about this on Instagram, but I had to literally slow my thinking, my process, my planning, everything down for myself as I'm becoming a new mother. Um, I have been experiencing anxiety like I've never been experiencing it before. It comes and it goes, but when it comes with a vengeance.
Yeah.
The depression, when it comes with a vengeance. And I had all these plans, even planned out in my planner, like literally just months out. Each month, all right, I'm gonna do this. Next month, I'm gonna do this. Next month, I'm gonna do that. And I just realized, I'm like, you know what? I can't do what I was doing last year, how I want to do it this year.
Yeah.
I can't, it's, as you put it, earlier, as we talked about it earlier, it's about that balance, and taking your own advice and taking that moment to yourself to put it up, put it away, and take some time to yourself. And it was really hard for me to not so much be open about my anxiety and my prenatal anxiety and depression, but it was hard for me to admit that I am not going to be able to do all the things that I want to do right now. It's going to have to be put on the back burner for now. It's going to have to be put on hold for now, because I realize, first of all, if I'm not well by the time this baby get here, I'm not going to be well to mother this child. I have to have all the energy, or all the emotional and mental state and capacity that I can have to give this baby my all, physically, literally physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah.
And I had a discussion, the night that I posted all of those short posts about me putting things on hold, extraordinary women, it'll still go, it still happened this fall. It's just gonna be a
Mhm.
shorter season. Then I'll come back next year. You know, that was the night where I had that really bad mental breakdown. I was in this office specifically, and I
Mhm.
just had a mental breakdown. And my husband just looked at me. He says so much without saying it in his look, like,
Mhm.
I'm worried about you, you
Mhm.
know, and
Yeah.
I wish there was more that I can do, but I know that there's really not much that I can do because I don't understand what you're going through. I can't relate to it, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab your blanket, I'm gonna grab your comforter, I'm gonna bring it in the bedroom, I'm gonna take it
Mhm.
with me, and when you ready, you come into the bedroom. Like, I knew that was his way of telling me, listen,
Yeah,
baby,
I'm here with you.
I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And
Yeah.
so he let me sit in here, have my moment, and that was the moment I realized, you know what? I had to have a deep conversation with myself and with God, and I had to say, you know what? I'm okay with putting this on hold.
Yeah.
I have to be okay with it. I have to put it on hold because I'm dealing with so much
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally right now that I do not want to, as you just put it, deplete myself. I
Yeah.
cannot deplete myself entirely. I gotta have a little bit of something for myself
Yeah.
when this
And
baby gets here.
And if I can add two things based on what you said, and I really hope that this helps somebody. I really do. Okay, so one of the things that you talked about was just dealing with your anxiety. And
Hmm.
I can remember being a mom with young kids and the anxiety coming sitting on me, right?
Hmm.
If you believe in the spiritual, you God fearing, right? You
Yep.
know there's God, and then there's some other things that want to pull you from Him, okay? So I remember feeling anxiety come and sit on me like a coat.
Mm.
And I was like having all the worried about my husband dying. What would I do if he wasn't here?
Mhm.
Worrying about, I mean, just all kind. I could feel it arresting me. You hear me? So Tony Evans has a sermon series um or some CDs, I think at the time, that were about anxiety and worry.
Mm.
And I listened to those sermons until you can hear something, but it's different when it sits inside of you,
Yeah.
right? I listened to those sermons until I felt it sink inside.
Mm.
Okay, tragedy happens across the board. I was worried about oh my God, all kind of things. And I was like, this is not God. I
Yep.
just know it's not. This is not
Yep.
God. And I had to listen to the word of God. How many of you can make yourself grow by worrying? Who can make your hair grow or turn from gray to back to brown again or black again by worrying? Who can change all of these things by worrying, but take it to the Lord instead? And I had to continually put that inside over and over and over again, that there's a lot of things in the world I can't do anything about, but I can trust God. And that was challenging, right? But I had to continue reciting it and listening to it over and over again until it sank really deep inside.
Yeah.
Another thing that you mentioned was about, being a new mom, right? And there are all these pressures that we have as mothers for you to do things. For me, one of those things was breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, there's a mom out there that's like, I gotta do it. Right? And I have to do all the things. Listen, sis, I was one of those people that if I go more than 2 to 3 nights without a good night's rest, I get physically sick.
Mm.
I mean, like my head gets foggy, my stomach gets nauseous, I feel physically sick. And I say to myself, I have to go lay down. Like, so imagine as a new mother, right? As a
Yeah.
new mom of one or two babies, and you get catapulted into the baby boot camp, which is baby gonna pop up when the baby wanna pop up. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're tired, you're not tired, whip out the boob, give me what I want, right? Because if I don't breastfeed you, you won't be bonded to me. If I don't breastfeed you, you won't know who I am. If I don't breastfeed you, I'm letting down the culture.
Right.
I'm doing all these things, right? I have to do it. And I had to let go of the societal pressure to do certain things. If I'm not mentally okay, who's going to parent these kids?
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? So I felt all this pressure. I said, but simultaneously, Christina cannot go without sleep. And I told my husband, I'm afraid of going back to who I was after I had the twins. So I'm afraid of being that tired again.
Yeah.
So we
Yep.
formula fed all five brilliant children, and they
Mm.
are smart and they are healthy and they are everything that God is going to make them to be. And trust me, they are too attached to their mama. So for somebody that's out there, who you're like, listen, this isn't working out for me and I'm worn down and my body is saying, my mind is foggy, and you're looking at the baby like, you want to touch me again? It happens. And
Yeah.
so it's okay for you to switch something that lasts a couple months to maybe a year, right? In order for you to be the long-term mother that your family needs you to be.
Right. You said something so key, societal pressure,
Mm-hmm.
which leads
That
me to my
motherfucker.
next question.
Yes.
And you brought it up on Red Table Talk. I saw you bring it up on Red Table. You know what I'm about to bring up. You know what it is. Mom shaming.
Mm.
We are in a culture next to the cancel culture
Yes.
of mom shaming.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this culture of mom shaming come from? Why do we mom shame? What is mom shaming exactly? How do you define mom shaming? And do you think that we mom shame without indirectly trying to mom shame?
Absolutely.
If
So,
that makes sense.
all right. So I'll say mom shaming is Karening. Now you all know who Karen is. We Karenize other women by trying to own what they do and make them feel like they have to parent like we parent. So,
Mhm.
for example, I have a really good friend. She has breastfed her last two daughters, and she's like, "Listen, I'm tired, boss." I was like, "Well, listen, I just don't want to be devil's advocate over here, but it's okay if you make the switch, right?"
Yeah.
So a lot of times we will shame another mother for doing something different than we do, or talk down to them, or whisper about them, or whatever, because they parent differently. Simultaneously, I have friends who have breastfed their kids for years. I've had friends who didn't give their kids any form, no rice in the bottle, whatever. There's all these ways to parent children, and no one way is the perfect way. And so
Right.
a lot of times we think, I guess, that our way is the best way. And so we try to enforce that on other people, in a way of, girl, listen, what I'm doing is better, but your kids are 5 and you know nothing about parenting teenagers. So,
Right.
it's a whole different ball game. So I found across the board that a lot of us, we feel like what we're doing is best. And there have been parents that did less and have successful children. There have been parents that did more that have successful kids. It's all about giving your children an environment that they feel loved. And
Right. 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 I see it all the time, or especially on social media. I don't so much see it in a public space. It's very rare I'll see it in a public space, especially for women like pulls out her boob to breastfeed. Boom, mom shame. Somebody's so bothered by that so quickly.
yeah.
But I definitely see it more on social media. Something more recently where what that made me bring up the whole mom shaming thing was there was a topic that was being discussed on the reel with Adrienne, Lonnie,
Mhm.
Jeannie, and oh my goodness, the new host now. Her name is slipping my mind. But um they were talking about Ice T's wife and how
Mhm.
they let their daughter get these French nail tips.
Uh-huh.
Now, personally, I thought it was kind of cute.
Uh-huh.
I thought it
How
was.
old is the daughter?
I think she's definitely no older than 10. I think she might be about, I would say, let me look it up. I would say she's about maybe 7 or 8. She's no older than 10. She's definitely no older than 10. But I'm gonna look it up right now because I
Uh-huh.
don't want to be wrong.
That's hilarious. As if any of us parent like celebrities parent.
Yes, yes. She's 5.
Okay.
She's
Okay.
5.
Okay.
So it was, I mean, I saw it trending on Twitter. I'm like,
Yeah.
Ice T was trending on Twitter. His girl was trending on Twitter. His daughter's picture was trending. I'm like, what is going? Why are we? First of all, why are we so caught up in these celebrities' lives? That's one.
Right. That part.
That's the first part. And second, you know, why do we feel the need to put our 2 cents in on something that we personally don't agree with? I mean, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Again, like personally, I thought the French nail tips were kind of cute. I thought they were doing it. They were doing it for her picture day. She had these cute little pigtails, this cute little
Uh-huh.
hairstyles, cute little outfit, and I
Did she
thought
have
it was
like fake nails on, like
they were
nails?
acrylics. They were acrylics. And I'm like, I personally wouldn't do it for
Uh-huh.
my child.
For my child.
I wouldn't do it, And I mean, quite frankly, my mama didn't let me start getting my eyebrows waxed. I was about 16, 15 or
Right.
16.
Right.
And, this whole mom shaming culture, just because it's not something that you would do or that, you prefer, doesn't make it right or wrong.
Right.
It just makes it a different type of parent, a
Yeah.
different style of parenting.
Yeah.
But this whole mom shaming culture, I feel like we really need to, instead of mom shaming as what you do, you
Hmm.
mom empower with Momathon Diaries. I think we need to get away from this whole mom shaming culture because, first of all, women, we have it hard already.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have it difficult already, physically, reproductively, societal wise, we have it hard already.
Yeah.
And when you become a mom, that makes it even a little bit more difficult. Not impossible to
Yeah.
manage, but it
Yeah.
just makes it more difficult. I think we really need to get away from this whole mom shaming culture. And instead of mom shaming someone,
Hmm.
I think we should try to understand why that mother would allow it. you
Hmm.
know, just ask, hey, what you thinking? What's going on? What I mean,
Yeah.
it's not something I would do, but why would you let your child get French nail tips? Is it something
Yeah.
that you did growing up? Is it just something girly you think, your daughter would just enjoy? And
Hmm.
also I think we need to just be more respectable of someone's space. Now, of course, with it being social media, whatever you put out there, you're subject to criticism.
That is
you're
also true.
you're subject to scrutiny no matter what you put out there, even if it's something positive.
Yeah.
You're subject to it all. But I think, women, the mom shaming, it's got to stop. It's got to come to some kind of end. And I think, it's good what you're doing with the Momathon Diaries. I think that is the start of ending mom shaming. Someone's going to see this and they're going to see this specific part of mom shaming, whether it's the mom shamer or whether it's the mom who has been shamed.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to see this and they're going to sit there and think, they brought up some good points. They brought up some interesting points in this segment right here.
So I know for sure when it comes to mom shaming too, I often ask the clients, right? It's not a judgment on your parenting, but how does this parenting decision impact you and make you feel?
Right.
Because kids, the older they get, they will ride your soul into the dumpster and say you liked it. And you
Mhm.
will be doing jumps and hoops and all the things, right? And it's like, but how is this decision to parent like this affecting you? And
Yep.
so one of my clients, she said, I realized that I made my house too child focused. It wasn't focused around me and my spouse, and my kids were a benefactor of that. It
Right.
was now everything was organized around what the kids like and what they want and all the things, and not circumvented around me and my husband. And so a lot of times we're making certain parenting decisions, and the question is, how is that decision affecting you after the fact?
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, listen, then we got to change that. If it's not working for you, then that's when we need to make a change.
Now, Christina, I like to do this segment called the Sisters Corner.
Hmm.
It is literally what it sounds like. We come together in this huddle in this little corner, and we bond as sisters, and we kind of just discuss basically what we've been discussing this whole entire episode.
Hmm.
Women empowerment, but it's a specific question
Hmm.
that I target.
Okay.
Um, and I created this as a safe space for women to kind of connect and bond. And it seems like this whole episode we've been, connecting on a level of, definitely empowerment, and definitely talking about how women can kind of keep it all together. So the question that I have prepared for today is, can a woman actually have it all? Is there such thing as a woman that has it all? And if so, like what is the woman that looks like she has it all? What
Mhm.
does that look like?
Oh, wow. I think women can have it all.
Okay.
I do. I do. I think you're gonna have to tweak some things. You're gonna have to be really self-aware about like where you are emotionally, physically, what season you're in, right? Like I'm in a season of homeschooling a bunch of kids, right? But give me 4 more years, I'm sending a child off to college.
Mm,
College, right? So there are these seasons of life where my children are still homeschooled, but I've delegated some. You
yep.
hear me? So now they're in a co-op where somebody else is teaching them American literature and acrylic painting and survival skills and writing, right? Somebody else is doing that. They're in speech and debate where they're learning how to argue their point and put together thesis statements at 11 and say it in front of people and compete on a different level. I've learned I can still have what I want, which is homeschooling and flexibility, but I've also learned to delegate. And so, yeah, you can have what you want, but are you responsible for doing all the things? I firmly believe, and this is our closing moment, is that there are three things you cannot delegate. All right. You cannot delegate loving on your spouse and telling him he's the finest thing since sliced bread, gassing him up before he runs out to work, right? So you're the first one that told him, "Ooh, baby, you smell good." You don't want to let nobody else be hyping him up like that, right? Unless you're in one of those relationships, nobody else should be sleeping with him, right?
Mhm.
There's some now, if that's what y'all do, I'm not talking to you. But for most of us, we're in monogamous relationships and homes, and nobody else should be doing certain things with our spouse. We can't delegate that, right? We
Right.
can't delegate pouring into and loving our children, right? But we
Mhm.
can delegate who maintains the house. The last thing that we can't delegate is our vision.
Mm.
I can tell my event coordinator this is what I want, and she can go and start to work on making those things happen. But I can't give it away to her to dream of. I
Right.
have to be the one that implements the dream and the vision. Then I can delegate those tasks associated with developing it and making it happen. That could be flyers, that could be negotiating with hotels, that could be social media management, that could be a virtual assistant, all these other things that go with building empires. But
Right.
nobody can do your vision for you. So, yes, I believe we can have it all. I do, but you might have it all and have a maid and a virtual assistant and somebody who cooks for your family 3 nights a week or order takeout. Nobody said that you were the only one responsible for mopping.
Yep.
So
Yep.
think higher of yourself. What is all to you?
Right.
What is all to you? I want my husband close by, right? I want that relationship to be tight. I want my relationship with my kids to be tight where I enjoy them. Not just have them, but I enjoy who they are as people. And yes, I want to continue to grow my global community. Yes, I do.
Right.
So all this other trivial stuff, somebody else can do that.
You
That's
know,
all to me.
and I agree with you. I do think a woman can have it all. It's they just like you said have to know how to delegate
Hmm.
certain things like certain routines and responsibilities. And this it's funny. This question I asked this question in season 1 in my first episode.
Hmm.
And this question was inspired by the person I was interviewing because you know uh she does so much. I
Hmm.
mean, this woman, she just goes. She's a news anchor in San Diego. Shawley's on the roadie. Shout out to Shawley for being on the podcast and still being an inspiration to me.
Hmm.
But she's a mama of five,
Hmm.
and she has her own podcast. She has her own well, she's working on her own cooking show right now.
I gotta meet
For
her. I love Moms of Five.
Yes, she is. I'm telling you, this woman is amazing. You know, she actually kind of helped inspire this podcast a little bit because you know I would talk to her and I would just be so inspired by how she just does so much. I'm like, where do you find the time to
Mhm,
do everything? Where do you find the time for Shawly? Where do you find the time for just yourself? But she does
mhm,
her own podcast. She does her own cooking show that she's working on right now for a Persian network.
mhm,
Um, and then she has her own she has her own book that she just wrote, dedicated to little girls in the Iranian Persian community. This woman, she does so much on top of news anchoring, the morning news.
mhm,
And to any news person watching this episode right now, you know that what time we got to get up to get to the news
mhm.
station for the morning news. You know the show airs at 4 a.m. We can't get there at 3. We got to be there at 1. So
Mhm,
this woman, she will get up, come to work, do the 4 a.m. show or do the 6 a.m. show all the way to 10, go back home, get her kids together. And of course, last year during the pandemic, they were all being homeschooled. So she go and get them, pick them up, take care of them,
yeah.
get them ready, homeschool them, do her own thing, be a wife, do her own thing. I'm like, Shawly, where do you ever sit down? Do you ever
Yeah.
sit down? And she even said it herself, um, she she has help. She doesn't do it all by herself.
Right.
No
Right.
no woman can do it all by themselves. And that was key when she said that to me,
Yeah.
because I'm used to not asking for help. I'll be the one to admit it. I don't like asking for help. I
Mhm,
don't like I don't like letting people know that I need help with anything. Um
mhm,
but you know she is someone that I would like to consider, when I came up with this question, that kind of has it all together because,
yeah.
yeah, granted, yeah, she does a lot, but she's not doing it all by herself.
Right.
She's
And
got
that's
help
the
from her
key.
she's got help from her siblings, she's got help from her mom, she's got help from her husband, and she has help from friends as well. That's how she's able to
Yeah.
do all of this and still have time for her 5 little ones, herself
Yeah.
and her man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Women, we can definitely have it all. We just have to know how to have it all. And I feel like I'm kind of in that stage right now of trying to have it all.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but right
It's gonna
now,
evolve.
yes,
It's
yes.
going to evolve because then you're gonna have this new little person come
Hmm.
in. And my husband, he would joke. Like one time I went out with a girlfriend, he said, "Yo, come home and get your man." He was like, he didn't bother me while I was out. When I got home, he said, "Your baby." I said, "He just my baby tonight." He said, "Your man, the little boyfriend, he hollered the whole time you were gone because he wanted mama." And I took the little baby football and I was like, "You did not cry." And he was just quiet because our mama was home. So there's these, seasons of life where the baby's gonna be like, you know what, I want mommy. And then, he or she may grow a little bit and become a daddy's girl or daddy's little man. And they're like, "Mama, who?" My daughter would give me like and she loved her daddy, still loves her daddy way more than me. So there's this, the beauty of seasons and transitions. The question is defining what does all mean? Because if all means I gotta have credit for cleaning the house too, I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. Somebody else can do that. That doesn't make it in your eulogy.
Right.
It doesn't. So let's focus on the things that you want people to write about you in the future. And nobody puts down, "I really want to be known as as the woman with the cleanest house." Said
Yep.
nobody ever. You want to be known for a woman that made impact on her family and the world. That her family knew that she loved them, but she was going to do just a little bit of her at the same time, right? Like my mama, she would leave us at home and go do this, or she would come in the room and rest because rest is needed for women as well.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for discussing that question with me. Really quick, one more time. Where can people follow you? Where can people find you? Website links. I will drop them down at the bottom of this video. They will be in the link as well. But where can people stay in touch with you and keep up with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook and the gram at the Momathon Diaries. And my website is runningamomathon.com.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, if you tuned into this episode as well, because I do know that I have some male listeners and watchers sometimes. Shout out to the few of you. I really appreciate you. Um, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Extraordinary Women. I will be back for another episode next week, and I cannot wait for you guys to see that episode as well. Christina, thank you so much for joining me. It was a joy, literally a joy talking with you. And
Thank you so
I
much.
hope, in the future we can bring you back on and we can talk about more stuff. Because, as you put it, we are always evolving. Women and
Mhm.
moms are always evolving. So I would
Yes.
love to have you back on one day. And I hope everybody took a lot from this episode, all the moms, all the women, all the men. Again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everybody.
All new episodes of Extraordinary Women air every Monday right here on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to all 3 platforms so you don't miss a thing. And remember, ladies, keep on thriving.